Hey there, athletes. Coach John Ferry here from Team Wilpers. Excited as always to welcome you to our Week 5 athlete briefing for the End of Summer Run Challenge. We're going to start with a little Week 4 review. So we started the week with kind of our endurance plus strides. This is a staple runner workout. So certainly a fixture throughout a lot of our longer distance training, like our marathons or half marathon plans, but it's just a staple workout in every runner's schedule, that endurance run plus strides. So it's focusing on endurance, but allows a little bit of disparity there and gives you the opportunity to open up your legs, hopefully get a little bit more comfortable in your run. Key run number 2 of this past week are tempo intervals. So a workout to include some structures, a little bit of marathon pace in there, but without dropping all the way off in the way that we sometimes do in our unload week. However, still including a reduction in overall training stress to try to get you ready for the back third of this challenge here. So hopefully this one felt super smooth sailing. The goal was to feel really comfortable and confident all the way from start to finish in this one. Now let's jump on to our Week 5 workouts. So run number 1 of Week 5, our tempo run here. Very simple structure to this workout. These are nice, smooth, steady effort, kind of long, sustained cruise intervals, if you will. So ultimately, we're going to hit about 23 out of 25 total minutes of that main set and sort of a tempo pace. Just as a reminder, kind of on an RPE level, these paces are paces that you should be able to hold for multiple hours in that situation when well trained. So even at 23 out of 25 minutes, the goal is not for this to be a particularly taxing session. If the pace is feeling particularly challenging, you might need to roll back the pace a little bit and find something in your RPE scale that is something you feel like you could maintain for, once again, for multiple hours on end. That's sort of the goal here on an effort basis of what we're looking for. So, kind of similarly, if you find yourself really huffing and puffing early in the set or having a hard time making it through, reduce the pace, aka the effort, in order to make it feel a little bit more sustainable for you. Run number 2, our threshold run this week. So as some people might know, threshold styles of workouts are some of my favorite styles of workouts. By definition, this is a pace that you could hold for 1 hour at maximum. However, in reality and a little bit more in practice, let's say there's a pace that you could hold for maybe 30 minutes at maximum, is feeling, as some might describe, comfortably uncomfortable, if you will. In previous challenges, we've spent whole blocks of time working on threshold pace and getting more efficient in our threshold. That's not really what we're going to do here. In this particular scenario, we're taking it to the top edge of our kind of tempo or Z4 right here, or kind of bottom edge of the Z4 more so. Working above that marathon pace and half marathon pace we spent a lot of time with, trying to get a little bit closer to the pace that you might end up using for that second 20-minute distance test at the end of this challenge, which is coming up very quickly right around the corner here. So I feel like this thing just started, but here we are coming into our second to last week. So this little kind of threshold workout is an overall great anytime workout. It shouldn't be a big bruising effort, very similar to some of the marathon pace stuff. When we go in and do threshold specific blocks, these workouts, this might be the intro level workout, where right now, one more time, we're trying to just take our pace up and over marathon pace and half marathon pace, get it a little bit higher, start it to get ready for that second distance test. Naturally, we're finishing the week with an endurance effort, just a nice, easy, long run. Keep it fun. Always the best run of the week. So going to be a very quick question session here. So we have one question that came in this week, but very pertinent to a lot of people here in races upcoming. And the question was, any suggestions for managing jet lag for international racers? And yes is the answer. I'll throw in one addition, which this also comes into play for people just traveling to different regions domestically. So anybody ultimately traveling time zones, getting on an airplane. So we're going to talk a little bit about right here. So the most ideal situation is just to arrive early to your destination. And there is a rule of thumb, which is you want to arrive about 1 day early per hour of time zone change. So That is not always possible for a lot of people, especially if you're going, we have like Sydney Marathon coming up, unless you want to get to Sydney a few weeks early, which would be a great idea, not a terrible thing to do, but once again, not accessible for a lot of people. So in which case we do the best we can. I'm gonna start with kind of the first thing, which is that of things we can do in advance of departure. So there is something to be said for a sleep adjustment schedule in advance of departure. This is not going to get you probably all the way there for most things. For domestic travel, possibly. But what you want to do is potentially consider a gentle deviation from your calendar, adjusting your schedule gradually in the direction of the time zone that you're changing towards. So in essence, you're moving your schedule to the time zone of the place that you are traveling to. So you just want to make gentle adjustments to this. It's probably going to be about an hour to maybe 2 hours at maximum of trying to adjust in the week to 2 weeks leading up to departure. Travel adaptations, a few things we can talk about. So the travel itself is fairly taxing. It's for some people a lot more than others. Even more important, the closer to race day you are traveling is trying to take some of these things in account. And so they're kind of, one thing in particular I think is one of the most difficult is when, especially on airline flights, maintaining hydration, preventing swelling. So I heard an interesting stat fairly recently, which is per hour of fly time, we're losing about 8 ounces of fluid more than our baseline level on an airplane. So you start multiplying that out by 6, 8, 10, 12 hours of fly time. That becomes an incredible amount of fluid loss over the duration of that flight. And that's, like I said, not just keeping up with baseline, but over baseline. So I personally used to be a guy that just walked on with a small bottle of water, would take a couple of small cups over the course of time. I'm not thinking that way anymore. I'm coming on with large containers of water because it's really, really hard to try to keep up with little 4-ounce cups every hour or so. So make sure you're bringing a lot of fluid onto that plane. If you have to get up every 60 minutes to use the restroom, so be it. But once again, especially if you're traveling close to the race day, you need to make sure you're maintaining that hydration at a very high level on the fly time. Also means, we all know, alcohol, not a hydration. Nice thing to have on a plane sometimes to help relax, but ultimately is fighting against you, not only in trying to stay hydrated on the flight and get sleep, but also on the time acclimation, unfortunately. So other than staying hydrated, certainly consider spiking with a little electrolytes. I am a big proponent of compression on planes. I personally, my feet, ankles, etc., really swell up after a long time in that seated position. So the easiest baseline way to go about it is some sort of compression sock. There are brands with very expensive ones, and there are a CVS version that you can get. Ultimately, the science is kind of out on all of it. The graduated compression is very similar, so find just something that feels good. Ultimately, I think they're all going to help you a little bit. If you escalated that and moved up now, like the Normatex of the world have their kind of portable version of their very popular leg sleeves that really just sit on the calf. Another great way to just kind of move fluid, keep things a little bit fresh during the flight, a little bit elevated price point, obviously. So let's talk about arrival. What can you do on arrival now that you've perfected your departure and your travel day? So on arrival, the best thing you can possibly do is get quickly lined up with the new time zone. So get in, if necessary, only short naps during that first kind of day or two, 20 to 30 minute maximum. Don't want to all of a sudden get in a sleep cycle that's off from that time zone. Utilizing natural light can be really, really helpful. So I know a lot of people walk straight into their hotel rooms, zip those blackout curtains all the way up and try to really crash. But you want to let the light in. You want to allow your circadian rhythm to get back in line. And waking up to daylight, falling asleep in darkness is really going to help that process. So if it's in kind of your natural tendency to zip those blackout curtains really tight, you might reconsider that, especially in the kind of days acclimating as you get closer and closer to race day. Finally, exercise upon arrival has shown to have great benefits in kind of bringing your body into a new time zone. So instead of getting off the plane, heading straight to a restaurant, straight in for a nap, etc., it might just be worth at least throwing on some sneakers, getting out for a nice kind of long walk, maybe some easy running. Try to get your body moving and active before you settle in and kind of get back into the your normal flow of things. But hopefully that helps with a couple little acclimation tips. It is hard, I must admit, it's hard. And once again, the closer you're traveling to your race day, the more difficult it is to get ready. You have to take a look at your history of travel. Are you a great traveler? Are you an inexperienced traveler? What do those trips typically do to you? And then part of your race day expectation is going to have to be baked into those trips. These huge international marathons, amazing experience opportunities, not always the fastest run of runners' lives. That's okay, not always the goal. So one more time, hope this helped. And otherwise, that was it. That's all we have here for week 5, short questions this week. So thanks as always for being here and can't wait to see you back for week 6 next week. Have a great one.